couple of people in here. Let's go grab my sis up in here right now. Let's grab my Miss Dealer. Hey, Jennifer. Thanks for coming.
I gotta flip the camera. Peace. What up, sis?
Peace. How you doing?
I am great.
Good. I'm so glad to see your face.
I'm always happy to see your face.
Today is going to be an exciting day. I just want to make sure I get everything hooked up. I'm gonna hook up my stuff over here because we got to have the way we can monitor comments. I got my candle lit. I'm so juiced today. And so
Yeah, I'm sending out the live, so we gotta send out this live. Get our people on here.
yes, we do. I want to turn the volume down over here on this. Okay, so we're gonna get it started. So, hey, there we go. We got our brother in, and you know what? I think that the best way to address what we're doing today is to grab our brother right now, because he just we pulling them in right now. It's like live and direct right now. We don't have time to be playing with nobody.
Yes.
I wanna hey
Peace.
King.
How y'all doing?
Peace, King.
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I just came back from Chicago.
Okay. Wow. So you just got through with the travel. You trying to rest up a little bit?
Yeah, I was just laying here waiting on this.
Okay, good thing. Well, we're
What
honored.
an honor.
Yes. Go ahead, Dila.
I was just gonna say, what an honor to have you on here to be able to have this very powerful discussion. Divine timing and just like energy is like just through the roof is what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us just about some very powerful things. So we are a Harambe Monday right now.
Yes.
And I'm Queen Dila. I'm from Oakland, California. And this is my sister, Tracy. Let them know who you are, sis.
So I'm Tracy, Exotic Linx from Oakland, California. And,
Okay.
I'm just one of the sisters. I'm one of the elder sisters in our tribe of a community of people who are just, doing the work enough so that we are actually in accompaniment with you. We are stewards of culture and stewards of the knowing. And so we are, just very honored to have you here, because we are all about our assignments. So in order to be able to do what it is that we need to do, we definitely want to make sure that we are connected with the divine spirits, gods, present, everything, in order to find out what our lead needs to be in our community. So we're very, very honored. Thank you very much, God. Thank you.
Thank you for having me
Thank
on here. I appreciate y'all. There's a lot of stuff going on. The women feeling it. It's almost like the guys looking at the women wondering what the fuck is going on, and they ain't figuring it out. But y'all feeling it. The
Yes.
whole shift in real time. So
right.
it's just, well, it's a good time right now to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get to see it all in part.
Ashe.
Yes. And so, Dila, for people who don't know who you are, just really quick, you want to just let them know? And then we definitely, because we got people on here, Brother Rod, we spoke your name into existence last week.
Last Monday.
Last Monday, your name rolled off the tongue, and it just kind of had everybody like boom, 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 boom. And so it got activation, and that's what we do. We do these lives every Monday and every Friday, because one of the biggest things we started doing these started off with Kwanzaa, which we do every year, and
Right.
do it, from the mother perspective, and bringing in the divine feminine and the divine masculine into the room, and bringing it back to Ma'at and everything. And so then from there, we just dedicated every Monday and every Friday to dealing with mental health, because we understand that, mental health in our community is a systemic problem, and it's a problem that's never going to go away right now. But we have to do
Right.
some things in order to save the people that need to be saved. And we've lost some people, very close to us. We lost 2 men in our family within the last 2 years to suicide. And so we're dedicating our lives to the living, and then also dedicating our lives to our ancestors.
Our ancestors.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So again, I'm Queen Dila, Oakland, California, artist, activist, and just entrepreneur. And like Sis said, one of my sisters actually was like, Sis, you gotta watch this interview. And so it was you and Black Magic 363, and that was a very, very, very powerful, just like through the roof interview. I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? We got to tap into this information and make sure that we are just like in alignment with what the truth is. And that's what, we've been talking about on our channel. That's what's creating mental health problems among us as people, is just us not knowing the truth and taking on illusions as lies, and therefore is manifesting in our physical realm. You know what I mean? Because our minds, our mouth, our movement not in alignment. We speak in a bastard language. We speak in things that we don't even know mean different things. You know what I mean? So we calling things into existence simply from not knowing. And so when I saw your interview, we were on here last week, and I was like, yo, everybody, we need y'all to go watch Brother Rod's interview.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, I followed you on Instagram, and then I reached out to you. You responded instantly and was like, yeah, I definitely will be on here, and I would love to connect. And I just think that you show the true power of God, the true power of the Most High, of like speaking, and when you truly in alignment, how everything just aligned, and it happened in 1 week's time. So I'm speaking this because we talk about the power of manifestation and the importance of knowing that our work is important and being in alignment with that. But I just also watched the interview where you talking about those of us who are here to clean up, to clean up this dirty work that has been set, and you broke it down so beautifully. So we explained all of this so we can step back and just give you the floor to just do what you do so beautifully, which is just enlighten us on what it is that we need to be present to. So again, I just want to give a little bit of that backstory so you understand how this all came together for us, and how powerful it is to just be in a room with you and have this discussion. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It is such an honor to have you here with us.
So we talking mental health, suicide awareness. The first thing that you don't know is that most of the mental illnesses we experience is taught to us. They learn patterns of apathetic behaviors, right? So you do something that make you feel bad, but you won't stop doing it, so you continuously feel worse,
Mm.
right? Until you can't take it no more. Most people don't know that life is broke up into stages and parts. You have a training part, then you got a trial part, then you got a training part, then you got a trial part, till you finish to a certain level. You can only rise to your own level. We all got that God power in us, but we got different degrees of it. That's what you call your spiritual ranking. If we stop telling the children that they soft, they'll stop being soft. So we teaching them to quit. Instant gratification. Can't nobody wait 30 minutes for nothing. You had to wait 30 minutes, they bug out. Oh, I got to wait. I got to wait. It's part of life is waiting. You're going to do more waiting in life than you're going to do anything else. So if you don't learn the patience, it's going to always be a stir on your emotional body. Your emotions is not, you're supposed to use your emotions to navigate life. That's all of the lights on your dashboard, right? And the first part for mental health is to determine if the emotion is in context. So sometimes we're supposed to be mad as hell. Sometimes you got to punch somebody in the face to do the right thing, right? But we take that off the table as an option because we're trying to get to this kinder, gentler humanity where everybody got a rainbow flag, you know? And the only way you could do that is to emasculate the males and masculinize the females. Role reversal. Once the males become emasculated, they already suffering the mental illness at that point, right? So soon as the woman feel that she have to carry on the whole burden of carrying the whole family by herself, that's also creating a mental illness. Because it's an isolation, right? So you could take a perfectly sane person. Most of these people can't stand to be in the silence with their own thoughts for a half hour. That's why they can't wait. They want to hurt. They want to silence the voices in their head because nobody never taught them how to control what's going on inside their head, right? So when the hard part comes, the child don't know that it's supposed to get hard. Nobody never told him. So he don't know how far he's supposed to go with this. So he just quit. And when he quit, we call it suicide. I'm not participating in the shenanigans no more. Right? I quit. I don't want to play this game called life. Right? Because the life resistance exercises that make you strong enough to handle whatever comes has been villainized. Right? So you can't say certain stuff to your child no more. It's considered child abuse. Right? My brother picked me up from the bus and we was listening to this girl was getting some kind of award or somebody booed her and she had a full meltdown. Tennis. It was a tennis player. Right? And she went and got skunked right after that. She couldn't pull herself back together. It's the difference between champions and losers. You know, some people can give up emotionally, but they don't know they got all of the physical capabilities to win, but they quit emotionally. They shut down emotionally. Like the elephant with the string around his leg. You know, an elephant can break it, but he don't know it. Because when he was a baby, that string was a chain. So when he felt it, as soon as the slight resistance come, he quit. I quit. That's a mental illness. It's a created mental illness. Right? Because anytime the elephant is willing to stay chained up, he's living outside of his psychological healthiest position in life. And as long as he's living outside of his psychological healthy position, what they call homeostatic lifestyle, then he's living in a mental insanity. And all an insanity is the deviation for what's classified as the norm. So sometimes we telling people they crazy, insane, and they are actually geniuses trying to tell you something.
Woo! I saw that through my brother. So you speaking facts, like, you know, my brother, he was a phenomenal vocalist and sang like an angel, you know, somebody that touched many lives. And like what you're saying, when everybody was calling him crazy, he actually tapped in into what I felt like was God on earth. Like, wow, you know, some of the things that he was present to through numbers and letters, and how he was explaining them as like vehicles, you know, and us being careful with how we're traveling. And he was just present to a lot. He was giving a lot of downloads about like repetition and how to you know, how we are learning and unlearning things. It was really powerful, you know. And for the typical person, it was like, dude, crazy, he tripping. But I really paid attention to his energy, and like you said, he was tapping into something that, you know, I still can't quite describe. But when you were just explaining it, that's what I was present to, you know.
You
Yeah.
know, there's a meme floating around that say, smart people sound crazy to dumb people. But quantify that with more detail. This is what it's really saying. People that only have a certain amount of knowledge, they can't grasp mentally what a person of a higher knowledge base is talking about because they're not there yet.
Mm.
Right? So they sound crazy. Now, and you read about it in the literature, something called the rantings of the madman. All of the wise men, they said that they was on this rant where they was sound crazy, but when you listen to what they're saying, it really makes sense.
Ooh.
Most of us get caught in the cognitive dissonance and new information overload. So we don't even want that challenge, because we taught that anything that's hard, we need to quit. We're not supposed to struggle no more. Well, struggle is part of being here. How you gonna get stronger if you don't struggle? All you gotta do is watch weightlifters. It's called weight resistance exercise. Gradually add more weight until you can lift more weight. Right? And the more you do it, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the more you can lift. The more you can lift, you winning in championships. It's the same with life.
Right.
Life gonna beat your ass when you're a kid. Then it's gonna give you an easy time. But we can solve most of the problems just by informing the child that life is broke up into parts. When you go through the hard stuff, right, that means that you're going through the tests from all of the lessons that you just got done learning. Right?
Right.
So now you have to be what they call long suffering. I mean, you have to be able to endure the hard stuff. Right? You think Michael Jordan just grew up to be the greatest basketball player? Kobe Bryant just grew up to be the great. They had to practice and practice some
Right.
more. And then when they got done, then they had to do some more practice. That's called dedication and determination. We're teaching them to quit and give up and surrender into society with the educational system. Right? Like they make jokes out of it now. When we was little, you had one winner. The winner is just the winner. Now everybody get a trophy, even the loser, which nullifies the victory of the winner, which trains you to be, I don't give a fuck, quit, leave it alone. It don't have nothing to do with me, right? So it's a game that they play with us to keep us, turn us into the agents to keep the rest of us in position, right? So we torment each other. We become unwitting agents of deception by being deceived ourselves. Then as soon as one of us starts seeing what's going on, we tell somebody, they get offended. Because you done told them some shit called the truth, and they can't tell them nothing worse than that. Accountability comes with that.
Right.
Right? So when you start telling them this truth stuff, now they don't get mad because you're telling them the truth no more. Now they get mad because it's coming from you. They ain't mad because like they could have accepted if it would have came from the wino on the corner, but since you the one carrying the message, then that's some fucked up shit you shouldn't have never told me.
Right.
You know? So they don't mind ridiculing you, ostracizing you, and then when they find out you right, They take the information like they've been knew it the whole time, right? And won't never acknowledge where they got it from.
Woo!
But they didn't argue you down that you was crazy. You didn't know what you was talking about. It wasn't what you said it was. Right? They still thinking Jesus is a man and Jesus was ISIS. Right? So they got the story all scrambled up like an egg. And they do that because the more misinformation you put out, the more malfunctions you cause in psychological process. It's the same as a computer. You can't keep feeding the computer false information asking for the right answer.
Right.
Right? Because in the computer terms, it's called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. This is what we doing to our children. So when they grow up and they don't have no grit, they don't have no determination to overcome no obstacles, they don't got no patience to wait 20 minutes for a meal to get cooked. You know, so now domestic violence. A hostage crisis disguised as a love affair.
Woo!
He come in, he can't wait the next 10 minutes for the food to finish cooking. Now he want to fight.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, that was deep.
No patience. No patience. No patience at all. Listen, I'm gonna beat your ass because I'm gonna make you do what I want you to do since you didn't do it on the time schedule you should have had it done.
Right.
So all of these are mental weaknesses. It's lack of grit, right? In the relationship, the woman ain't supposed to be on no fucking stopwatch for dinner time. Just like she ain't supposed to have no stopwatch for the laundry gonna get done when the washer get done washing that shit.
Right.
I can go down there, kick the washer. I can hit it with a sledgehammer, everything I want to, but the clothes not gonna be washed until the cycles are complete.
Right.
So we want to take the process out. We want to go from I want to I got without nothing in the middle. Right? That's insanity. Yes, you can't expect to automatically think it and then automatically have what I put forth no effort because the universe only rewards effort. You don't have to always be right. You don't have to always perform the function according to how other people think, but do it the best you can. The universe is going to make sure you get it all right. You do your part. Nobody won't do their part. They want everybody else to do their part, but when it comes time for them to do theirs, that don't got nothing to do with them.
Right.
They can tell you.
It's like the story of the little red hen. That's why I always love the story of the little red hen. That always been my favorite story since I heard it, right? And I didn't understand why that resonated with me as a kid. I got a big ass little red hen book here right now. And it was like, you know, for real, that's my favorite story. But that's exactly that concept where everybody else want to eat after you ask them and you tried to incorporate them. You even gave them ways to be incorporated. Like, all right, you don't want to come with me to the meal. All right, you can pick the wheat. You don't want to pick the wheat. All right. You don't want to like mix the dough. Okay. Well, damn, you want to even slide the pan in the oven? No. But when the shit come out, it's like, let me get a slice of that. Nah, you know? And that's what I always appreciated about that story as a youngster. And like you said, that analogy for my whole life, it helped like really put my whole life into perspective as a young person, just connecting with that story that people will always want, but it's up to you to manifest, you know, you eating because everybody else ain't gonna help you when it really come time to pull that wheat, to go to that mill, to push it, you know what I mean, to put in the labor or the work, you know. And so I think that is important. Me and some of my friends talk about that all the time, like how COVID somehow made people get to a space where they don't want to work. It's like, if you're not working for the man or for the machine. You better be working for self.
Somebody.
You know what I mean? You better be working for self and doing some type of self work
Listen, this is
to
the biggest
to
insanity we face with right now. It's called group insanity. It's this insanity that affects the collective consciousness of a cross section of people, right? So it worked like this. We all working for the system, for the man, for the government. We working at the city building, the state building, but ain't none of that our shit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We will fuck somebody up about our job, but we get fired from that same job for fucking somebody up about it.
Yep.
You know, because we take pride in our work, but we not realizing we working for the enemy. As long as you're working for the enemy, you can't expect a favorable result unless the enemy wants you to have one. That's why
right,
you got people that work 40 years and can't retire.
Okay.
You know, because they so attached to the machine that when you disconnect them from the machine, it's like taking them off life support. They learn how to navigate the weekly paycheck so well that they can live check to check, week to week, and never think about retirement until it smash them in the face at the last minute. Right? Because they teach us not to have foresight.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the spiritual, so-called spiritualist woke community, these motherfuckers is the same way. Right? Because they always talking about you living in the now, live in the now, be in the now. Well, motherfucker, we got to create the now first.
Mm-hmm.
If the
Mm-hmm.
now we want ain't here yet, we have to put forth a certain amount of effort and elbow grease to manifest that now. Right? But they trying to tell you don't look for the future. No, you don't look for the future. You build that motherfucker.
right,
Create it.
Yep.
Right? You see what's wrong in the present. Our children shouldn't fight the same problems we have. We
Mm-hmm.
still shouldn't be fighting racism 500 years later. We still shouldn't be having political discourse that's in heated opposition. All of them wrong. But they arguing which one of them right in front of us because we got to pick between which one of the wrong we want to run for, want us running us. What wrong we want to put out front? We want to put the pedophiles out front. We want to put the thieves out front. Which one of the wrongs are we going to follow this time? Right? We want to put the illusionists out front, the charlatans. We've been
right,
walking around talking about Joe Biden, the president. Ain't no fucking Joe Biden.
Okay.
All that shit is a stage show.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
we all into this shit. It's a mandate. What's a mandate?
Hmm.
It's when the man don't want to pay his part, so the woman got to take him out. So any excuse for us to be a little bitch ass nigga.
Pimping at his finest.
That's simple.
Listen.
Look, that's simple.
Woo.
Because even if when you first take a female out and take a woman out, even if you pimping, you still gonna foot the bill on the first date. Even the pimp gonna do that.
Right.
He not gonna put her on a mandate because he want her to feel as woman as he can in order to get her to perform the acts that he wanted to perform. And if he can make her feel enough like a woman, she'll move this motherfucking earth. Every
That's
pimp know
gang.
that.
That's gang. That's that gang.
Straight gang.
That's that gang, though. Y'all don't even be knowing. It's
So,
it's not that easy, but it's obvious.
so this is what we practice being part of the oppressive system while we complain about it. Especially us. As long as we complaining about it, ain't nobody doing nothing about it. That's why we gotta have Black History Month where we can go over all our grievances every year, because ain't nobody doing nothing about it. We can get rid of Black History Month when you realize, one, that we ain't black because we ain't crayons. Two, that they named us black so that we won't never know that we was already here. They could tell us that them black motherfuckers came on ships as slaves.
Right.
Well, we ain't them, because we was already here. We was running around with feathers on our heads, slapping our mouth, talking about, woo, 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 woo. That was us. Then they came over here and replaced us on our land with some motherfuckers that they call Indians, that they paid $5 to register as. That should have been the first warning. Right? So they telling us we came, millions and millions and millions of us came on ships. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. The narrative is broken. There's too many holes in the story. There's too many shipwrecks discovered not to find one intact slave ship. They got ships from the 1300s, the 1200s, the BC period under the ocean that they didn't excavated, but they ain't excavated now real slave ship. Then they come with this Clotilda shit, and all they found was the chain, the anchor chain, and some debris. That's not enough to determine if it was a slave ship or not.
Right.
You know, but they want to push that narrative. They went so far to even build replicas, and they say right in there, this is a replica, and they still trying to convince us that we came packed like sardines for 6 months on the ship.
With no toilets, no water.
No toilets, no running water. That's insanity.
That is insanity.
That's teaching insanity.
And then think we're going to become workers and be able to produce or do anything after that? Come on. That doesn't, like you said, that don't even make sense.
You can't cultivate the land. You don't know, you don't even know how to navigate the land. You don't know how to build or you don't know the structure of the land. You don't know the plants. Matter of fact, you're going to die from all the stuff because you didn't even eat that food. Come on.
A lot of the stuff that like, for instance, we not even realizing most soul food is Irish.
Mm-hmm.
Collard greens and potatoes, neck bones, that's Irish cuisine.
Yes.
Right? A lot of people don't know the Irish had to come over here because when they was having those wars with St. Patrick, they flooded out to the farmland with salt water. So it left the land barren for a period of time, so they needed to go find somewhere to get some food. So they used the fair over here to put them in bondage. And they called them indentures, white niggers. If you Google white nigger right now, it's going to tell you they Irish. They was getting the same treatment we was getting. But they don't want to talk about that. But you can still see them in the Appalachians, in the trailer parks. They call them poor white trash. And they treat them the same way they treat us. We ain't never realized that to the degree where, wait a minute. Well, if they treating them pale folks and under white privilege the same way they treat us, there's something else going on here.
Yes.
Right.
There's something else going on that we not looking at.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just crazy enough to look at the shit that nobody want to look at.
Most definitely is, for real.
And I just want to thank you for definitely, I like Dila, when you started breaking down about, us being here, everybody that's in the room that knows me, anybody that knows me knows that I identify, definitely I'm not a crayon. When people ask me, what am I mixed with? I tell them slavery. I'm a Muskogee Creek, Cherokee, Cree, and Mohawk. I am Northeastern original. You know what I'm saying? My father, I got the tongue of the Northeast because I am. My father's from New Jersey. My mother's from Massachusetts. So I'm over here in California trying to, try to teach people and show them that we right here on indigenous land around the most, indigenous people that are in plain sight, and people still don't see me. And then I get into fights with people who are supposed to be conscious about how you want to be everything but black. And so for me to hear,
they like to say unapologetically black.
Man, I'll be like, well, I'm unapologetically the steward of this land. I'm unapologetically, and when I heard you say that you were, what'd you say,
Organic.
American? I'm sorry.
Organic to the land.
Yeah, you're organic to the land. Yes, but it also you were talking about being an Indian witch doctor, and you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying.
Hayoka.
And seeing for me, this is all I am. So everybody in the community is always so it's beautiful to connect with you and be able to let other people in within my tribes see that my cousin is right over there. We a whole we family, so the family is interconnected no matter what and so the words that we've been speaking and trying to bring y'all home and claim our land instead of because if you didn't get that check because you didn't work last year and you didn't get that stimulus money, that's the same thing you're gonna get with this reparations. You ain't fighting for nothing.
Look,
So,
Right.
reparations is pocket change, and it's
for real.
and when we talk about insanity, okay, imagine this: you got a carrot on the stick. How long do the mule follow the carrot on the stick before he realize he ain't gonna never catch that motherfucker? Right? Because they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over, expecting a different result. This motherfucker done walked this carrot from Miami to goddamn Anchorage, Alaska. That's insanity like a motherfucker. Right? So mental health, most of the mental health issues that we really have and is not psychological. It's chemical. It's biochemical based, and it's based off preservatives in the food, lack of nutrition. Right? And this lack of nutrition causes the thinking errors to occur. Because it changes you from being in prosper mode to survival mode. And then you never been taught to handle nothing that's difficult. Nobody never took time to show you what patience look like. Right? So don't nobody know what your life script is. Like mine was, can I help? That's all I used to say when I was a little baby. Most of us overlooked that from the children. Their life script don't come out their mouth. My son's life script is I can do it. I can do it. Right? So the only way I can get him to let me teach him something is I say, okay, son, let dad help you, because that's my life script. Do it the right way so you can do it yourself. He looked at me for a minute, first couple times. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, show me how to do it the right way then. Right? And once I use that method to bring his life script and my life script together, now I got his attention. See, they don't want, when you start teaching somebody to pay attention, you teaching them to be able to control their mental processes long enough to learn something. And when they can control their mind like that, that's building up that mental flexibility to overcome the difficult road ahead. Right? So my mom used to tell me when I was little, I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Right? She talking about the hard time. That's the trouble.
Right.
And like one of my homeboys like to say, I was born in trouble. Because I was born in a life that was designed to give me a hard road. But trouble don't last always. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out because I was taught by my father that if a man sees something wrong, he just gonna fix it. But why have a tantrum? In the amount of time it take me to have a tantrum, I could have got a mop and mopped that milk up that's spilled.
Right.
Right. So we rather throw the tantrum, create the drama before we ever consider grabbing the mop. Ain't no sense of crying over the spilled milk. Clean that shit up. Right? But we let them break down. We don't say, hey, son, it's all right. You're going to spill some milk sometime in life. That's part of life. As soon as you take the possibility of you spilling milk out, when you spill some milk, you're not going to be able to function. So they got to be able to know it's okay to spill a little milk. You got to crack an egg sometime to make an omelet. But you also got to wait for the motherfucking skillet to heat up, or you just gonna have a bunch of runny eggs.
As I always say, breakdowns are breakthroughs. It got to break down to break through. You know, that's something that people know me for always saying, because I talk about a transformative language and how we got to shift some of the things that we adopted within our language because, like what we are talking about, a lot of these things don't mean the things that we think they mean or that they taught us that they mean
Yeah,
when we are
I'll give you a couple.
in grammar school.
For instance, you go to church to worship, right? You getting on your warship. You getting ready to go to war and don't even know it. They put a warrant out for you, right? What's a rank? Just continuously saying something over and over, right?
Right.
So what's a war rank? It's a ongoing declaration of war. Their system is fraudulent on our land. We didn't ever have prisons. But when they came, we need prisons. Why do we need prisons? Because they're doing something that's going to require us to act out. Not something that's going to compel it. It's going to require us to act out.
Right.
Right? It's just like you caught your foot in the trap. It's going to hurt. You're going to probably scream. It requires a response so that somebody can know you trapped. So what we going to do is we going to compel the response and then punish them for it. Lock that ass up.
And I want to let anybody know that if they have any questions, because I see that people are commenting and throwing things out there, and I'm like listening and I'm writing down things, but I can't read everything. But if you have a question, there's a little dialogue icon with the question mark. You could throw the questions up in there, and then that way I can honor everybody up in here. And we just have the number 222 up in here. So, I just saw that number running through. Keep on seeing it flash up. I keep on looking and it's 222. So that's a beautiful thing. Look, people putting 222 up in there.
Right.
Yeah, good thing.
We in alignment.
Well,
It's a beautiful alignment.
And brother, do you have anything to say about 222 or about the numbers running up? Because I know that you know a lot about numbers and.
Well, normally when I start flipping the numbers, it be based on something that we doing. The 222 is to move levels from the ones to the twos. It's to raise, right? So that's what we look at is a two ball. It's what you call a 2-ball cane flip, a 3-point convergence, GPS.
Mm.
So we on left, right, and up the center. You raising the consciousness with the twos, right? And that's why you got 3 positions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Look, thank you. We have a question that came in, and this is from Love Empress Kita. And it says, how do you build more effective intuition and discernment?
Practice makes perfect. Believe that you know what you know. When you get the feeling not to go somewhere with somebody and you don't go, it's going to be stronger the next time when you shouldn't go.
Right.
When you feel like something you need to check on somebody, check on them. Because once you start listening to the intuition, it starts getting louder and clearer and more accurate. Right? So it'll start with something as much as your dog or your goldfish. Mm-hmm. Your intuition might tell you need to change the water in your fish tank. You might not know somebody put something in it. You follow your intuition, you save your fish. And your fish give you the gratitude because they knew something was wrong with the water. They just didn't know what it was.
Right.
Gratitude from the fish tells your intuition that was a good job. So next time you feel something, you follow that. See, we teach the children to suppress their feelings.
Right.
All right. So now imagine this. From the time you 2 to you 20, every time you feel something, you got to swallow that shit. How long before you have the last piece of swallow you can swallow? And what's going to be the reaction? How volatile you going to be when it erupts? Right? Some of us is going to have a internal attack and we're gonna lash out at ourselves, others are gonna lash out at other people. That's why when you're going into like a prison setting, they always got to do a psychological evaluation on you, because they got to determine if you're gonna be able to do the time or if you need medication to get you through.
Wow. That's deep.
You got people going in perfectly fine, coming out looking like a zombie, walking like Frankenstein with their arms slumped down, doing something called a Thorazine shuffle. Because they knew that they couldn't take that 10 years they just gave them.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what they doing to our brothers and sisters with this mental health medication as well. Because I watched two of my brothers go through that. And actually, one of my brothers actually was over medicated in California by John George, by the mental institution. You know what I'm saying? And then, like Tracy said, my youngest brother, he committed suicide, but he just refused to take the medicine. Like, and after I saw what the medicine did to him, like, I understood, and I just wanted to be a safe haven for him as best as I can, and bring as many natural resources to him. But like you said, there were so many different chemical imbalances that I'm learning to understand now, through gaining wisdom, through having open conversations about mental health and this conversation, but having a real and a raw conversation about it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, where we are, you know, people be trying to clean it up, and it's been in the hands of celebrities, but it's not in the hands of the people who've had family members that's close to them that have went through that, and us having real discussions and finding solutions and bringing solutions and resources to our community. So again, we're so grateful that you're here just sharing your knowledge with us around, and just enlightening me on so many different levels. Like, I truly am grateful,
When
for
we
real.
talk about mental health, the psychiatrists and psychologists got a handbook called the DMSV.
Yeah,
Right? And it's Diagnostic Statistics Manual, volume, whatever. And some of the things that they classified years ago as mental illnesses is not in there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that used to be perfectly normal are now classified as mental illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like bipolar.
Mm.
Bipolar just meant that your emotions are subject to change based on your external conditions instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That just means that you are a psychic sensitive that's untapped. But rather than them tell you that you are psychic sensitive that's untapped, they'd rather give you a medication. They give you a medication because then they can suppress your genius, and you can't never really see what the problem is now, because you becoming internally blind by chemistry.
Mm.
All that stuff is designed to interact with the natural chemistry of the brain. Right? So this is the difference in psychology and psychiatry, is the approach of treatment. Psychiatrists use medications. Psychologists try to use something called therapy, which is actually the same confessional that the Catholic Church used. They just put you on the bed instead of put you behind a booth. Because they want you to take responsibility for all the dirt they do to you. So you got to go to confessional to get it off your chest. And then they got to give you a snake oil remedy. Go say 3 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers, and you'll be blessed. Then this the same people that just came in this confessional talking about they irresistible attraction to children. And the priest is on the other side talking about, yeah, I sure understand what you're saying. I got the same problem myself. Right? So it's the way to keep the guilty doing their dirt for the longest amount of time without getting caught. Because most people get caught
Right.
from, they can't take the dirt they doing, they have to tell on themselves. Right? It's called the self-accused spirit in the Christian book. It's going to come up and it's going to start telling all your dirt. right? Because you're so busy trying to keep it from the world gonna find out. That's why the celebrities is out there taking all these falls to show you what happened when you don't have self-control. When you don't stand on principles and values. You know, your moral compasses become defective. Right? So all these things is being taught to the children early as possible. And they teach it to the children because it's easier to convince the child to deviate from the status quo, especially once they start becoming rebellious teenagers.
Right.
Wow. Wow. I'm just like, I'm being floored because I mean, the truth is out there, and I'm seeing everyone commenting and throwing in here. They soaking up this, and I think that it's really important, especially just to put mental health in the forefront. We have so many discussions and so many conversations about everything else, but if you don't have your mental health in order, then there's no way to tap into the realities, the downloads, and all of that. Because I started into mental health, working on my own mental health for myself, is because I have what you said, a DSM-5. And in my DSM-5 is bipolarism. And that was just 3 years ago, getting that DSM-5 that took me from one level of, I was given medication for that diagnosis. And that medication, I know for a fact, because of what happened is I feel like it was a demonic attack. I
Look,
had a psychotic attack on myself. And it got to the point where I know it was real for me. So when I see people walking down the street talking to themselves and feeling things, I know it was real, because I was chased down in my own house by a demon. I had to, surrender myself to God, to myself, to inside of me, and not be afraid. I'm in the same house that I felt like that medication opened up a portal. And that's what
okay,
we don't
so
realize, the portals that are opened up, and to the point where they're doing it to our children as young as 3, 4, 5. And I know I'm a genius. I know the things I've had 17 cardiac arrests as a child. So I came into this world knowing what my assignments were, And so it's very important, that we're having this dialogue, because a lot of people are pushed to that side of this mental health, and that's why we want to talk about what is mental health. What does it really mean? We talk about mental health matters. Actually knowing that like you said, bipolar used to just be where, your emotions just went from one end to another. And it's like, if like my cousin broke it down to me, he said, tell me all the things that you are. And I was like, I'm courageous, I'm a survivor, I'm a queen, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a fighter, I'm a this, I'm a that. He said, well, shit, no wonder why you bipolar. If you got to put all them hats on, how can you work?
Right.
He didn't say you peaceful. He said you didn't say you calm. You didn't say I am love. You said all these different things that ain't you. And
yeah,
that's
Right.
what, and I'm even looking at some of the questions, because we have questions coming in as well. And I know that our focus is mental health, and I want to, we can always go back on it, but I just want to be,
the root to all mental health is
mm-hmm.
spiritual health. The root to,
Yes.
because if you lose your mind, you lose your soul, and that's the only way you can lose it. You got to lose your mind in order to lose your soul,
Right.
because the soul has to integrate into your ego. The process of ego purification is the struggles of life. Once the ego go through enough of trial and errors, it becomes purified enough to embody your higher consciousness, right? So it's a couple of things about mental health. The demons can be creations of our psyche from childhood to now in thinking errors. If you want to know how it's done, you have to look up something called an egregore.
You
An
said it's a
egre-
what? Egregore?
yeah. Egregore is a being that you create with the power of your mind that can take on almost physical form.
Wow. Wow.
Right? And there's also something called a phantasmagory, which is a waking dream state where you really experience in fourth and third dimension at the same time. The psych could tell you insane. The witch doctor will tell you out of balance. The psych could give you a medication. The witch doctor will give you herbs to balance your biochemistry because it's rooted in malnutrition. Once you understand the power of the mind, and then you understand your personal power, right? You won't create egregores haphazardly. If you create them, you meant to. Right? And this is the difference from exercising your God power versus somebody just wrote a little thing about egregore right there.
I see promos LLC, yes. Thank you.
But these things happen, like you got some people that think a poltergeist followed them. It's not their poltergeist, it's their egregore.
Okay.
It's their imaginary friend they created that they forgot to pay attention to, so now he's throwing a tantrum.
Oh my goodness. Hey.
Right.
Oh wow. And that makes sense because you can actually put it back in the bottle. You could put the gin back in the bottle. And that makes total sense because, and I'm gonna just tell you, you just blew my mind away because as a person that's suffering with that right there will make you lose your mind a little bit, not having the answers to. I didn't have a name for it. I remember being in the psych ward before they were about to send me to John George where her brother was killed. And before, but I had when I started speaking a language, I was like telling them, I said, I think incubus is in the room. I started telling them, and then that's when the psychologist or psychiatrist was like, when I started telling them all some other things, they was like, she ain't crazy. I was like, something is, but I was able to put it back in the bottle.
Everybody that they tell you commit suicide, listen to the side effects of antidepressants.
First thing they say is and that's what they did. They put me on I was on it for anxiety. And then they gave me an anxiety / antidepressant. And it didn't stop this because I didn't have that spiritually calmed down. So I wasn't spiritually calming myself down spiritually. So my brain wasn't working right. It was spitting crazy. And so I was like, it's not working. And I got off the medication within 3 weeks. I was running down the street screaming, Jesus. I was raised Afro.
Yeah, you totally lost it then because Jesus ain't coming.
And guess what? And I was raised as an indigenous woman. I don't even know church. I don't know nothing about it. I was screaming, Yeshua. Yes. And I was like, I didn't know. And I was like, and once I got off that medication and said, you know what, I can't do this. And then it went right back in this bottle. And now I realize it. Yeah. I know a lot of people, when they come to me and they be like, I feel it, and now I be trying to just help them. Like, I know it's real. I just didn't know I didn't know the name for it.
So the human mind, whatever the person who's the controller is, whatever they tell it, the mind believe it. It's the truth. And the reason is because you can't lie to yourself. So once you start lying to yourself, the self is going to take it as the truth and try to make that happen. It's going to try to make the lie be the truth. And because this is what creates the internal conflict, because you're telling yourself a lie to live by, and the lie is creating a side effect. It's creating an internal conflict. The internal conflict is what they call that you arguing in your head. Your higher self is telling you, ain't no goddamn man named Jesus died for your sins and come back 3 days later and not give your sins back. Your lower self is saying, but the church said. Your higher self is saying, I don't give a fuck what that preacher, imam, sheikh, or any of them motherfuckers say. I'm telling you the truth. So now you are trying to have your ego self created by the society override your God self that know all things. and
Yeah,
your
for
God
real.
self not buying it.
Right.
Your God self is going to stay, and this is why you in a steady, continuing, perpetual mental conflict. Because you trying to convince your higher self that he ain't God, and he telling you I came directly from source. The fuck you mean I ain't God? Right? So then you have people that go through what they call a psychological break, where they integrate the ego misinformation with higher consciousness, and now they think they Jesus, somebody who never existed. Then they start growing a beard. That's how you know that they did fucking wrong. Because Jesus is ISIS. So
Mm.
long as you think Jesus is a man with a beard, you are insane. Until you rationalize where you got that lie from, who told it to you, and what their motive was, you're going to continue to support the insanity because you have no way out.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so hold on real quick.
Yes.
I gotta say something real quick because Brother Rob been on here showing so much love.
Yes.
Baba Rod, Uncle Rod, like you said, so many dimensions to you and who you are. I want to make sure that we put your cash app out there, you know what I mean? And anybody who can be a blessing to our brother, he not asking for that. I'm asking for that because when I asked this brother, like y'all got to understand like the divine connection and him instantly just agreeing to connect in an organic way. And so I'm so grateful for that, and we definitely want to show a love and a token of appreciation for your time. Like, you've been on here for an hour, and so if we want our brother to keep giving us this infinite wisdom, let's most definitely be a blessing to him as he's blessing all of our spirits on in many different realms. You know what I'm saying? And so let's put that out there.
Mandy 333 just put it up. You could just pin it.
Okay. I'll pin it right now.
Yeah, so let's definitely send
So y'all
you
see
know
what I said on Brother Rich about the I'm not in this for the money.
right.
Right. So
And we know that.
That's what we wanted. That's why.
That's why I'm saying it though, because it's so real. It's so many people out here that's profiting on the people, you know what I mean? And you so trill about it, we have to, that's my duty, like what we saying,
Yeah.
So you didn't ask for that, you did not ask for that, he did not ask for that,
He did
you
not.
know what I'm saying? That was me just saying, like, let's be a blessing. We have to, as we're getting this infinite wisdom, as he's us, gifting us himself,
Yes.
with the infinite wisdom, we have to be a blessing to him. That is our obligation and our duty to the Most High, to show that reciprocity for the infinite wisdom. You feel me? That we are being bestowed upon. So anybody that's here that's being blessed right now, whatever it is,
Ever.
again, we not soliciting in that way, but I definitely want to make sure that we are just being a blessing to your calling, because like I said, I saw you last week with some youngsters just having dialogue, like you staying connected in many different realms, all age groups, having very powerful conversation. And like you said, gifting yourself. Like you said, you're not in it for the money, you giving the knowledge, and this is how it's supposed to be. You're showing us how it truly is, and I find that very admirable. And that's how we move it, period. The truth is supposed to be told and gifted and not sold. And I'm so grateful to be connected to you, because I knew that was always true. I'm someone that create truth through my music and through my videos. And so I just released this video called Battlefield. And my sister Tracy, she was in it, and some of our family that's in here. I shot it in Oakland. I actually live here in Austin, Texas. And right now, one of the biggest music festivals in the world is happening here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
after 2 years, they just let it happen. And so anyway, yeah, I put out that consciousness, and everything that you're talking about is everything that I knew to be true. And I was always connecting and manifesting it through my music, knowing that we would connect to our tribe and connect to our elders and connect to those who can continue to help guide us and expand us and enlighten us on the work that we need to be doing. And every time I hear you talk, it's just confirmation, right? We don't need that validation, because we know that when we stand in the divine truth, you got to be confident in the power and secure in the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Either you in it, or you not. And that's truly who I am, But at the same time, it does feel amazing. Like, again, when I hear you reflecting on the infinite knowledge, like, thank you. I'm just so grateful. I give all praise to the Most High, that you're a vessel, and that you out here for real, and you really giving us so much love. So again, I'm gonna keep saying thank you, because we are grateful,
Yes.
and we're very honored to have you here. So please show Brother Rod some love, and we're gonna continue to keep it rolling. You let us know, Brother Rod, when you're ready to dip off, because we keep these conversations going for like 2, 3, 4 out. Like, we be going in on
I
here. I'm
would
not
have
gonna
been able,
lie.
I would have been able to stay on here some hours if I wouldn't have like this travel lag,
Right.
Well,
but
we appreciate any amount of time that we get with you. I'm just grateful to know that we are able to establish a connection. And I've heard you talk about, basically us creating our own educational institutions and like universities for our children. And I'm all into that, because that's what I'm an educator. So that's my first
Yes, but
line of work is as a teacher, and I'm one of the co-founders of a school called Decolonized Academy on Black Arthur off of 82nd in Oakland, California. So we right there, we're decolonizing our indigenous children. We're on First Nation land. We've gotten the land, the Indian land trust rights, and we have our school there. We've built there's 7 homes there. We are, if you even just go look up online, anyone wants to go look it up, it's called Poor Magazine, is what we're under. And Poor Magazine, March 1st, we had gone to the city, to the city of Oakland, to demand that they give us the occupancy rights for the land. We built the land on our own sweat equity. We didn't ask anybody. We demanded that we had the land. We got the land, and we built our everything there without any kind of money from the government. And over like 4 years, the children built the children that went to the school that have graduated built their land, and the city of Oakland refuses to give us occupancy rights there because of the
so
fact that
this
they
this is
use
this is
money.
the real deal right here about occupancy rights in the government. Any of us that's organic to the land, they don't have the right to give us rights to none of the land, because it's already ours by right. So when we go
mm,
in there, this is the real reason they shut doors in our face. They don't never want us to realize the fact that they are squatters pretending to be landlords.
mm,
And they didn't trick the landlord's children into paying them rent. And if the landlord children ever get a foot inside to see what's going on, they're going to say, wait a minute, how in the hell is you charging me rent for my shit? And that's what the problem is.
Yes.
Cali
right.
is getting a wake-up call, because they got a lot of stuff going on in Cali right now.
Mm-hmm.
We about to see these 3 kings. They then went to Antarctica to meet with the Galactic Council, because they
Mm,
wouldn't, everybody they tried to send down there, they said if it ain't Larry, Angel Bay, and Big Tukey, we don't want to talk.
mm,
So a lot of people don't remember, because we got accumulated ADD. We don't remember anything 2 days or further back. But about a month ago, maybe a little longer, they sent a group of businessmen to Antarctica to meet with the Galactic Federation, and they shut the door in their face. So they all was talking about them coming back on the bus empty-handed, right? Because we had to fight the political tyranny of what they call a satanic government, one world government. We had to fight something called a oligarchy, which is a government ran by big business. Then we had to fight the technocracy, which was the government. They thought that the computer AI can outthink the God mind, till I fucked up their algorithms. So now they had to bow down to that shit. Now their algorithms really fucked up. If y'all see, they right now going over Larry Hoover with a fine-tooth comb because they're trying to find any excuse to say that we wrong. So everybody that's associated with him right now, and they going over all his business affairs with a fine-tooth comb, but they're not gonna find nothing because he ain't been doing nothing. Right? His people ain't been doing it. Everybody close to Larry know you can't do anything that could be considered under this system criminal. Right? Like even medical marijuana. Larry won't even let his people get into that. And it's legal in states because it's not legal federally. Right? He said that's just another way that they can come in and get him. So he wouldn't even let him get into the medical marijuana. Right? So now, whatever the results of the meeting, it's finna be cleaned up, and it's imminent, meaning any day now, the final revelation gonna be made to the public. Farrakhan is with him. He's the high priest, like their counselor. Right? Farrakhan is or he's from the islands. Right? So he come as the support team, and he came through being blessed by Elijah Muhammad and El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. A lot of us don't know that he was handpicked by Malcolm and presented to Elijah to be trained. The Nation of Islam was infiltrated heavily. So we was worried about the white man, but the Nation of Islam, a black organization, so to speak, is infiltrated. Who infiltrate? Where they come from, and what is their agenda? Why would you infiltrate somebody just for the upliftment of your people? Unless you somebody else that's trying to keep them people down. Right? And they got a track record, and I can go all the way back to the 1800s to 1492 with the same motherfuckers showing you they dirt. Right? So now in all of the dirt that they did, it's about to come to the forefront. We got the CIA files, FBI files from COINTELPRO. They can't no longer say that these gentlemen that they call criminals wasn't listed by the government to be taken out of the community in order to lead a community without leadership. And where the leadership, a lot of the mental health is coming from that. A lot of the mental health is coming from we pack animals. We know what our leaders supposed to look like, and these motherfuckers they marching around on TV don't look like our leaders, creates an internal conflict. And because we don't know how to resolve the internal conflict, many of us break down under the pressure of trying to solve the problem.
Right.
And that's what this is all about. So they keep us medicated. They keep us distracted. Every time they run one scenario long enough and it ain't working, they switch over to something else. They ran COVID long as they could. Now they got to go to the war program.
Right.
They telling you looking that the alien invasion is going to be some bullshit, psyop. But when you see these 7-foot Negroes walking off this motherfucker with these dreadlocks to their hips, and they ain't gonna be no pale faces, where the fuck these niggas come from? And they gonna have a unique complexion where you know they ain't from here. Some of
Right.
them, when the sun hit them, they gonna be chocolate, but the sun hit them and it's gonna look like it got a green tint. Some of them gonna be chocolate, it's gonna look like they got a purple tint. This is why you got all of the gods in the pyramids is painted blue, green, and purple. This is what they
Right.
telling you. But we are stuck on the white man lies. The biggest lie the white man never told is that he was white. He ain't no crayon either.
Right.
And that motherfucker look like us, but he ain't us. Hiding behind pale faces. And that's where the confusion come in. They told you what they was doing to us. We Esau, they Jacob. They got with their mama to steal our birthright.
Yes.
And I heard you speaking on a lecture. Okay, somebody got a question. My
Yeah, no,
bad.
we have. Let me just tell you, because I know that, brother. I know you got to get out of here soon, and I just wanted to honor what I asked for when it came down to questions. And I don't want to be like I want to just run through the questions, but I do want to kind of,
I can
I
take
just
some
want to hear
questions.
from King. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I can take some questions.
Okay, so it's from King Drew Train. He said, "We are the original people. How did they get away with this?"
Because they look like us.
Mm.
And they brought their slaves to make contracts under the Dawes Roll. We already was marrying people from Africa and Asia before they ever came. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They tried to change our name Amaru into the English language as Moor to match their French name Moray, which translates into English as Moor. That's the great switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind game. It's known in the streets as the bait and switch. Right? Also called the pigeon drop. So what it's designed to do is take two things that look similar with different qualities and characteristics and pass them both off as the same. In other words, they took a duck and a baby goose and passed them both off as ducks.
Right.
Well, when they grew up, the ducks realized that the goose ain't no goose, and the goose realized the duck ain't no duck. And now he's wondering what the fuck is going on. But most of the ducks and the geese in the flock never realize that they're not the same species. Right? So once he realized that, wait a minute, I'm a fucking goose. That motherfucker's the ugly ass duck. Right? Then you start asking the questions. Then he turned around and asked the duck next to him, well, you don't even look like a goose. What the fuck is you? And he said, I'm an eagle. Well, why is you down here with the ducks and the geese? I don't know. They put me in the motherfucking pen with them. Right? So they got us all under the impression that we are Moors. We not. Nobody was called a Moor before 1492 over here. I challenge any one of these diehard Moors to produce the information where before Columbus came, we was calling ourselves Moor. The closest they're going to find is a Maru. That's it. That's the closest they're going to find. And they're going to find the word A-M-U-U-R. But they're not going to find M-O-O-R. First of all, that's a modern rendition of an ancient terminology. And then it's used to conceal a more modern terminology in Moray. They got kicked out of Europe. They ain't had nowhere to go. They ain't from nowhere. So they trying to find a homeland. It tell you right in their so-called Bible. They so-called Book of God. Okay, they don't belong nowhere on earth. They God Yahweh promised they're gonna give them their own homeland on earth. There's only one problem with that. Yahweh ain't got dominion over the earth. Yahweh is the Lord of the skies. They call him Enlil. He has no reign on the earth. That's why his children don't have no home on earth. Everywhere they go, they do the same shit. They create a problem, offer a solution when you react to it. So they can come out looking like they solved the problem. They ain't solved shit. They created the problem and then they offered you a solution so you would stop bitching about the problem. It's called Hegelian dialectic. right? It tell you their whole mode of operation in the Bible. But people so caught up on their holy roller shit that they can't see the method of operation of the one called the devil.
Right.
The one they called in Jesus in the New Testament say, you're not from my father. You from your father, the devil. Who was he talking to?
Right.
He was talking to somebody called the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the scribes, who was all high position, high ranking so-called Jews. Right? So we know that all of the tribes of Israel was wiped out except the tribe of Dan and the tribe of Judah. Does it tell them that in the book? Right? So it's only 2 tribes left. What is their job? The tribe of Dan is the remnant of Levi, which makes them priests by default. And the tribe of Judah is lawgivers. And the whole judicial system is in Leviticus, just as it's set up now. From the Supreme Court all the way down to the provincial courts. They didn't got so out cold, they didn't attach kangaroo courts to them shits too. Because under their law, any court that's not Article 3 has no subject matter jurisdiction over criminal activity. That's why if you catch a state case, when you go to the feds, when you appeal it, it becomes a civil action. Murder in the state is a civil action in the feds. When you file in for your relief under habeas corpus, it's a civil complaint. It's not a criminal complaint. It's not an appeal to a criminal complaint. It's you actually suing the state in a habeas corpus, in the civil litigation. And that's why the state had an option to deny participation in the litigation. They have to agree to be sued. Who's going to agree to that shit? That's why it's so hard to get out once you get in.
Right.
Right. That's their system is designed that everything you do to get out of it buries you deeper.
So a quick question real quick that I have off top, because something that I said in one of my songs, I got this song called Blood on the Leaves I did to my mixtape called Unlisted. So I say, in slavery, we signing over our babies. They businesses do birth certificates. That's crazy. No wonder why they angry and they out here raging. We are the problem because we keep participating. So I'm going to stop it right there. I said that in those bars, and I want to know, what do you think about the agreements with us, with these like doctors
All
and
of
the
that,
certificate,
all
like, because I feel like it's like the root of the problem, and we not really talking about that, but it really stems into us as families, especially as mothers and us women. We are talking about it. We're having more real dialogues about it, about having these connections with these doctors, because this is how we continuously fueling this system. You know what I mean? So I want you to touch on that, if you don't mind.
so the way that it's set up is using admiralty law, which is maritime law. As long as we use the admiralty and maritime law, our jurisdiction is void because we operate off the law of the land. They operate on law of the seas. They said that we crashed our ship into our landmass into their ship. So that's why they had that ship docked for all these years in DC in the bay, and nobody knew why it was there. Because that's the ship that carries the batch rolls of birth certificates. It can only leave the port for a very specific period of time, right? To take the batch roll birth certificates across the sea to the Crown of England, right? So once they get them, they trade them. They trade them in the international stock market. Wall Street was created for slave trade. Now all of the stuff that's traded in human capital is disguised as sub parts of something. Like pork bellies is separate from pig. How is that fucking possible? It means something different. Don't mean the same thing.
Right.
So if hogs is $89 on the open market, but pork bellies is 260. That's definitely not talking about the same thing. So this how they deceive us. So we sign the birth certificate, we sign the bond. The bond becomes the guarantee of surety. The surety comes from the lien that's placed on our ignorance, because that's all the lien is on. The only reason why they're doing everything they're doing is because we classified in law as imbeciles, meaning that we mentally deficient, mentally incapable of taking care of our own affairs. And the only way to overcome that is you have to identify the fraud. Identify the fraudsters. What is the fraud? The fraud is a paper chain on an artificial fiction, a legal fiction called a corporation known as a nation. All nations is governed under Uniform Commercial Code. None of the sovereigns of the land is governed under Uniform Commercial Code. All of the sovereigns of the land is governed by Ancient Code of Kings. The Uniform Commercial Code used to be called the Ancient Code of Thieves, or the rights of the pirates. Right? There's a pirate, whatever he sees, he can live off of it until you discover where your shit at. And once you discover it, he had lived on it for 20 years, but he had to give you what they call a principal back with sufficient interest and compensation. Once you prove you're no longer an imbecile, you nullify the birth certificate, you seize the Social Security indemnity account. The indemnity account is tied to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve is where they decide how to print money. In order to diminish your ability to utilize capital, they created some shit called inflation. As long as inflation's in play, you can't successfully live off the fat of the land, because it's always changing the bottom dollar. It's pushing the bottom dollar to the top, which makes the top dollar become less valuable. So this is how they eat away at the economics. All of these things is to keep us chasing our tail, trying to figure out a solution to the problem.
Right.
Right? The only solution to the problem is disengage from the entirety of the system. Assert your sovereign right as an indigenous organic person from the land. Right? Tribe up with the other tribes people, and each one teach one. We all got to reach something. Right? The better we teach, the more we reach. The more we reach, the higher we can climb together. It's a unity.
Go.
It's a unity call.
Yes.
Right? So once we overthrow them, we don't need birth certificates no more, because we go back to putting them in Big Mama book. Every family had doulas.
We cleaning up.
Every
We cleaning it up.
had doulas, and every one of the women, when they get a certain amount of their pregnancy, used to go to Big Mama house to be around Big Mama and the doulas so they can have these babies at home.
Yes, that's what we do.
So
it's happening now.
Hey. What we do here.
Yeah. So they turned all the doula centers into major hospitals, because they know the chiefs come back at the same spot every time. They reading the stars, and they know when we come back.
Teach.
Right? They don't know what our name gonna be and which one of us is gonna be, but they know that one of the high chiefs is coming, and he gonna be born here on this day. I came in on 10 because they exhausted 1 through 9 before I got here. So that's me, born 11-10, initiated 10 toes down out the gate. Right? So they stuck with it.
Right.
You know? So this is what all that paperwork is called adhesion contracts. The adhesion contract is designed to put you in the position where you either have to sign the contract or you don't get no service at all. Right? Then they put the service under conditions like gas, lights, water. You need that shit for basic survival.
Right.
But when Big Mama was walking the land, we didn't need to pay for none of that.
Right.
Big Mama made sure we had everything we need without tearing up Mother Earth. They tear up Mother Earth to deprive us of everything we need. That's basic common sense If it's backwards, turn it around.
Right. And look, hold on, I gotta acknowledge this real quick. Everybody in the comments going crazy, talk about Uncle Scorpio.
Yep.
And y'all know Queen D loves Scorpio. So, we go crazy over here, Scorpio gang. So I just fell in love with Brother Rod even more in the knowledge, just even connected on that level because I have a very close Scorpio family. You got to understand, like my mom is Scorpio. I got 2 sisters, a brother, like my son, like hella cousins is crazy. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's a lot of us. I got a lot of my best friends are Geminis though. So like all my closest friends, they like, and I got definitely a mixture, but Scorpios and Geminis is crazy,
Your foundation is Aquarius.
Listen,
So,
grandmoms, you, pops,
so
you know
when
what I'm
you
saying?
get a group
So,
of scorpions together, they call it a cyclone.
Oh, I
woo,
already know. My nana is a Scorpio. So I already know.
yeah,
She October she October 30th.
In the whirlwind speech,
right.
the first thing God will say is, "Look for me in the cyclone."
Man.
And I'm 11, 13. So,
Look at the
yeah,
initiated Queen Mother off the gate.
11, 13.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
13 is the Queen Mother seat. That's why they don't like you talking about it and tell you it's a bad luck number.
Well, that's my daughter
Yeah.
was born. My daughter was born. She was born October 13th, 1995. She was 7 pounds 7 ounces. She was 22 inches, and she was born at 4:44 a.m. And she was a firstborn child.
She got all masters
On
of the Queen
everything,
across the board.
all the way to great grandchild. She was the first in all. She's my first. We have 7 generations, so she was like I was blessed with that. All her everything for her to be my
Line,
generation. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
beautiful
do she got
line.
a nickname?
I'm sorry.
Do she got a nickname?
We call her Pooh.
Okay, now,
We call her. She has 2. Wait, we call her Pooh. Her name is Ty, which means firstborn. And Queen Ty. But she's her nickname is Pooh, but then her other name is Ty Beastie because she is such a she's Sekhmet. They call me Sekhmet. She's the real Sekhmet. She gave birth to me.
look. So look, her nickname or her middle name is gonna be the same as one of your elders that crossed over. You probably don't know it yet until you ask somebody that's older.
And you know what her name was given? That's my mother's name, but that was a name in the family. So what we do in our family is we cross names over.
That's how.
So all of us have children whose names are of people. We are interconnected like that.
Yeah. So one of them that crossed over that she's named after, that's who she is.
Okay, it makes total sense.
Now, if you watch the elders, you say y'all got 7 generations. So take her around the oldest ones and just let her be her. And you're gonna listen to them. They're gonna be like, she act just like so and so. And then one of the old ladies gonna be like, that's so and so. She done came back.
Well, they say that about my grandmother because she looks just like my grandmother did 50, it's like 50 years in between, and it's crazy. They be like, wow, she looks just like mom. I'm like, yeah.
Is she still around?
My grandmother, no, she isn't. But when you look at
they
my
already told you who she is. Now, I ain't even
her eyes and everything, I'll be like, wow.
See, this is how we used to be able to keep track of ourselves when we come back.
Right.
And that's why they have parties at funerals and Mardi Gras, because it was graduation time for that person. Right?
Yeah.
We didn't grieve death.
Yeah.
We celebrated it because you're not getting out of here unless you can pay for your dirt.
For real, I agree with
that. You don't care who you is. You're not getting out of here until you pay for your dirt.
Yes.
And when they was able to leave and they lived a good life, that means that they done the work Spirit gave them when they was born. They lived out their actual life script. So now they can go. If you died from unnatural causes, that's called they left bumped you out. And that's how they was murdering us. They was using that principle. Because normally when you left bump somebody out the family like that, they are so bad that you don't want them to come back. Or if they come back, they have to come back with a specific parentage in order to make them pay for their past dirt.
Right.
And so you got to teach them how to come to terms with the voices in their head.
Right.
Right? Because children have nightmares. Children hear voices and they be scared to go to bed at night because they don't know they got the power to say, hey, I don't want you here. You have to leave.
Right.
So you have to start telling the children as early as possible. Anybody come around you you're uncomfortable with, they can't come to you. You have to give them permission to leave. You got permission to stay the fuck out my energy because you don't mean me no good. It's not personal.
Right.
Right. But we stopped teaching our children that because they was killing the elders who told us how to teach them that, because that's how we was able to keep the enemy in front of us at all times. We could see him no matter what skin he had on.
Right.
Yes. I'm about to pull Sis up in here really quick. Our other co-host up in here. She's been traveling, taking people places, and doing all of that, doing the family work for our tribe.
Blue.
And so I know that there's still questions, and brother, I know you're gonna have to leave in a second. I just want to kind of go through some of the questions, and maybe we could just throw them out really quick. We have from Sin. She was Sin Goddess. She's one of our sisters in the tribe.
Before you go to questions, let her introduce herself to the audience.
Okay. Yes.
Greetings, family. My name is Sister Tanika Blue, aka She Be Lady Blue, the sister with a clue. And I have been working with the children doing big mama duties. Hello, somebody. One of the mamas had to get on a plane to take care of the family for the transition, and I had to stick back and take care of the children. So at the end of the day, I'm so honored. I've been listening in on the conversation, and I just first off want to say thank you for accepting the invitation to join us in this dialogue, because across the board, us looking at mental health from a different lens is very necessary and critical to our well-being and our livelihood. So when you just said about teaching the children about the dreams that they're having and having to quiet the mind, I must share that I specifically had a conversation with my son, Amin Ra, where he expressed, Mommy, I got demons in my head and I be having to tell him to stop and shut up. So the fact that he was able to articulate that at 9 years old lets me know how tapped in he is and how I must continue to share with him to empower him to activate his relationship with spirit. He says, spirit, just make me do what I'm supposed to do.
That's my nephew.
Them other noises that I hear, I be having to tell him, like, shut up.
So then you got to tell them he is. Them is the ancestors in the family tree that failed, and they want him to fail too.
Is she listening?
They want him to fail just like they failed, so that because as soon as he check them and make them get in their place, he did his job. That's what he's supposed to do. And that's how he get his blessings in this life. When they come in his head telling him to do that crazy stuff, he tell them, get away from me. I don't need that in my life. I'm walking the path of righteousness. I'm not playing your games. And all of the ancestors going to back him up. They going to say, you heard the baby say, shut up and get out his head. Get out his head. That's how we do what we call shadow work and cleaning up the family tree. So you gave him the right name because I'm in Ra. We call him Son. S-U-N. We give him the name Son. I mean High Chief. So he was born to be the chief. So he
Right.
already know how to correct the rogue ancestors in order to clean the family line up. He becomes family redeemer.
Ashe.
I'm coming here for say peace, brother Rod.
But yeah, speak to the king.
Move that.
I like your
Move that.
dreadlocks, little man. What's your name?
Red.
Oh, he said
Come
dread.
on.
My
Yeah, we
name is
call him Lock.
Ra.
I'm in Raku.
Amin Ra
Ali.
Ali.
Amin Ra Ali. Amin Ra. The unknown God exalted. That's what his name means.
And tell him what your third name is.
My third name is Azrock.
What did he say?
Azrock.
How you spell that?
It's blue. It's freak. AZRAK. But Azrock is blue in Arabic.
It means the Blue Nile.
The blue Nile blue.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy because when she first got on, she said something about blue, and the first thing I heard is Big Tookie say she want a man.
Well, that's her name.
Look,
That's her name.
that's blue.
That's her name. Her
That's
name
blue.
is Blue. That's her name. That's her
Yeah.
birthright.
That's blue.
Soon as she
That's
came
my
out the
birth-
that's
he
my
was
birthright.
not saying that
it's my
sister,
birthright. It's
Yeah.
not just something that I made up. And at birth, his father didn't want me to give him my name. And I said, oh, I'm going to do you one even better. I'm going to give him my name, but in another language. And when I learned about what Azrock meant, it meant the Blue Nile. And I said, that's where a lot of our people traveled, and that's where they exchanged goods. And that's how they were able to take care of those that weren't being accounted for. I said, so what better way to name him and give him my name with power, and he will, be able to carry that. And he like, I'm naming my children after you, Mama. I said, well, I say.
So look,
Right.
the White Nile and the Blue Nile is the Missouri River and the Mississippi River.
Right.
Sir. Yes, sir. Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yeah.
so I do want
I
to.
know we got people with comments and questions in the comments.
Okay, so I have so I was saying about sin goddess. She said, why is it that empaths, starseed, and those with special gifts have the toughest time here on earth? And what do you suggest to us in navigating these waters?
I'm glad she asked
Right.
that question because that goes to mental health. The reason why they had the hardest time, who do you want to carry the heaviest load, the weakest or the strongest? So the strongest get the hardest time because they can take it. That's the only reason. They can take it.
Come on.
Right?
Yes.
And because they can take it, it's going to make them stronger in the course of life to be able to carry the burden of leadership, guidance, and direction for the masses. I could right now be on here every day vexing grievances about my miserable ass life that I had.
Yeah.
Right.
But don't nobody never hear me talking about my miserable ass life I had. I don't see a miserable ass life. I see some hard training, boy, but I got it in the gym. Perspective, and this is another thing that's mental health. Perspective changes the dynamic of the reaction. If you understand that you're having the hardest time because you're one of the strongest motherfuckers, you'll be like, oh, well, shit, let me go and accomplish this goal then.
Right.
But if you feel like you're getting the hardest time and you don't know you the strongest motherfucker, you might feel like I might need to quit.
Right.
But once you know, I get treated like shit, stepped on, kicked to the side, treated like the black sheep, the outcast, held last and last to pick, the best with the skills, but the motherfucker they don't ever want to play. That motherfucker is the strongest motherfucker. And since he's the strongest motherfucker, they gonna give him all of this shit that other people don't want to do.
Listen.
For real.
Talk
The
about
story
it.
of my life.
I'm here for it.
Man,
Damn. It's real
man.
out here in these streets.
No, it really is real, you
Blue,
know, and it's important to
she got Tukey energy coming in heavy over here.
right.
You know what? Let me tell you. And wait, brother Rod. Let me tell you. She Debo on everything and everybody, just like Tookie. I swear, everything about her. Look, she be the one that when we drive up, and I'm the one that always talk, right? But then she the one that make me talk. But then we ride up, and I'll be like, they closed. She be like, roll. She's like, go see if they closed. I'm like, I ain't trying to go outside. She'll roll. Hey, y'all closed.
Listen, this is what you got to know about Blue. This is what you have to know about Blue.
Tell
She
me
is
about me, y'all.
she's a bridge builder
Woo,
at the highest level.
woo.
You're talking about somebody that knows how to connect people and is committed to the mission, like does not go into any mission within his life without completely committing to it and manifesting at the highest level. This is my like twin, my soul sister, you know, and we've been on this journey, and I'm so grateful for spirits like hers because what she showed me was the sweetness within the divine feminine, you know, with experiencing life in its hardships, but still being able to be sweet and kind and in her interactions with people
Look,
and that be
just
pure.
finna give y'all the same description for Tukey, because when she brought up that she just like Tukey, but Tukey got a good heart. Tukey got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
But he would
Right.
beat your motherfucking ass too.
Yeah. Man,
Right.
for real.
Right?
For
Now the
real.
first thing she said is she called her a bridge builder. This becomes important because she's flipping me a wind talker sign. So the bridge builders are those who worked with the iron on the scaffolds. They call them skywalkers. Tukey is the king of the Skywalker tribes. The Skywalker tribes are those who used to live in the treetops before they chopped all our trees down, right? And those who work with the metal. We had whole villages on top of trees, whole villages.
Period.
And the Skywalkers clans came from the trees onto the land to fight in the Seminole Wars. This is how we got backdoored. They backdoored us with the Seminole Wars. Now watch what happened. You know the Pueblo village disappeared. All these different villages just disappeared. That's because the whole village went to go fight in Florida in the Seminole Wars. Once we was fighting in the Seminole Wars, we was fighting the Spaniards, the conquistadors. The English bought New Orleans from the French. Once they bought New Orleans from the French, they said that all these empty villages, they must have abandoned the land. Since they abandoned the land and we hold the protectorate right from the treaty, we gonna say, well, we just gonna govern the land until they can figure it out. So they claim that we abandoned everything. That's what they've been using to hold their power over here. But now, when we point out the fact that ain't nobody abandoned nothing, we went to fight you motherfuckers in Florida. In the elephant trunk, motherfucker. Where Big Mama blow that snot out her nose.
Wait, can I just say this? Can I say that? And this is why I'm breaking down with Sister Tanika. Do you know Tanika is Seminole? Do you know? Look, you know that, brother, because you was just told that this is why I'm about to start crying with her, because we know who we are. We know who we are. We
This
know who
happened
we
so
are. And we
quick,
know
like
who you
for
are.
real.
This is the breakthrough. When you know who you are, you honor it, and you fight people to be who you are, not be a crayon.
And then
Oh my God, Tanika.
Well, I
God
gotta
is good.
tell y'all, so he just really ran down my family lineage, right? And my grandfather transitioned my mother's father, because this is the lineage that you're speaking of. But you're also speaking of the cross between the lineage of my father's people, because that's where Blue came out. Blue came from my daddy.
Yep.
The Seminoles is my mama. And I love trees. Like, I just posted a picture and really navigating in a lot of all of this transition. But let me go back. My grandfather, my mama, daddy, he passed away when I was younger. So a lot of my communions between learning about my family lineage is not something that I get to like direct family member have these conversations until I went into specific prayer with my great grandparents and my grandparents around knowing our story and understanding where we truly come from. I
Period.
laid down in prayers in 2020 with my grandfather, and then last year for my birthday, I got to meet our cousin whom has the records of our people. Tracy got to go and witness them sharing my cousin sharing our family story with us after I left Virginia from being in the water where our people ended up in the waters.
Right.
To come back to Oakland to do a celebration called Monumental Reckoning for our people that had been in the water.
Yep.
So as I freely and boldly profess my Afro-Indigenous identity,
Yes.
when people look at me and they like, you exotic, I'm like, what the fuck do that mean?
Thank you.
We divine beings at the highest. We are
So
creators. You know, what are you talking about?
First
You
name,
know what I'm saying?
whatever.
in subscribing to doing my ancestral work and sharing with other people how powerful it is and how you can unlock access to things that you think that you would never have access to, I'm living proof. My
Right.
grandfather done brought my cousin back around full circle. You feel me? Proclaiming and declaring that mental health is not going to take our family down. They diagnosed my mother's mother and said that she was not adequate to take care of my mother, my auntie, and my uncle. And you feel me, that was just going to be the narrative for our family, for you to say to my son that you here to break generational curses. I'm living proof.
Yep.
Right.
Ma'am.
Now let me
So
tell y'all something.
on Wednesday, we doing a say they name ancestry acknowledgement in our community in San Francisco, because we must understand that it is important for us to still honor our relationships with those that have passed on and not be weakened by their transition because they got the ultimate promotion.
And it's really an opportunity, as I always say. This is an opportunity for us to really manifest what we truly want to see. As I was listening in one of your lectures earlier, Brother Rod, as those who are here to clean it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is an opportunity
Clean
to
up.
get that direct guidance from those who are giving us access. You know what I'm saying?
So now,
To that. And we got to keep those relationships. And I heard you speaking about that. So if you don't mind touching on that, Brother Rod.
I'm gonna have you bring that question back in a minute, but I wanted to point something out. When you flip the bridge, right? And Tuki said, go back to the bridge. I said, you flipped me a wind talker message. Then I went through the tribes that went to go fight in the Seminole Wars. And I started talking about the trees. Then when I got done, she was able to go through her family and follow what I was saying. This how you know a wind talker message, the level of accuracy.
Come on.
Because when you give me the knock, which was the bridge is the San Francisco bridge.
Hey.
Right?
Hey.
The San Francisco bridge on the West Coast is a knockback to the Queens Bridge in New York. So this is it's a zigzag flip across the land. Because remember, we went to Florida with the Seminoles already.
Right.
We marched all
and then
the
they
missing
traveled to
tribes
Texas
to
and then
go
to
fight.
Mexico.
So then when you get done going back over all of the the message. Then she come back to confirm. Right, the confirmation is her. I never had a conversation with her to know. I just know the
Never.
culture and the message that I'm getting from the chief when he say go back to the bridge. Okay,
Right.
so now I got to give you some references. If you go to this movie called The Great Wall, with Matt Damon, I think is in it, and you see the girls that's jumping off the bridge dressed in the blue. Those are Skywalkers in Asia. Tuki is the king of that tribe too. That's why when you look for the origin of the name Crip, it say he was named the Crip by the old Asian man. The old Asian man that's asked for a description of the guys that came through, and they said the big one, he Crip. He walked with a stick. Crooked man. They talk about the crooked man. The crooked man is the old black general from China. Right? And this is Big Tuki knocking across the landmass in order to get the message out to the people that they coming. They coming.
You ready for this?
I stay ready.
Our people, my mama people is also from the Philippines, and they from the mountains. And I had a reading done for my 37th birthday, and the elder said to me, she said, your people are from the mountains and they medicine people.
Okay, now watch this. The tribes, all of us in our community know somebody in the family with a middle name Lee, or they got a double first name with Lee. Like I got an auntie on my mother's side named Verdi Lee.
Right.
My uncle named Henry Lee. My father named Arthur Lee. All of the ones with Lee goes back to the ancient agreement between the tribes. This goes back to Tuki being the king of the blue out of Asia to the Americas on the West Coast. Right? So when you tie the tribes together, these are the knocks.
Come on.
So the Lees, right? Like I got a cousin named Bobby Lee. That's to honor an old covenant that was made so that we can find each other under the cloak of the invasion.
Come on then. Come on. Look,
Coming with that supreme infinite wisdom.
it's getting heavy in here. So I don't want to leave our brothers and sisters out that's in the chat. Just want to truly acknowledge, like, thank y'all so much for being with us on this journey, right? Where knowledge, wisdom, and information is truly being shared from an authentic place.
Right.
You know, and I'm gonna share with y'all. I had some issues, technology issues, even posting our flyer.
Me too. So
it kept glitching, and it kept pausing, and I kept saying, "You're not gonna interfere with what's happening."
Remember when you were at my house? Remember when you were at my house when you drove up? What did I tell you? You were like, dude, I said, sis, I got to keep on shutting my phone down. I got to restart my phone. And I called Dealer like 15 minutes beforehand, was like, yo, Dealer, whether we realize this or not, you know, and she was like, I know. I said, I know you know, but still, we're going to have to have this conversation. You know,
listen, like you said, we doing the work though. We doing the energetic work, and that I was definitely over here doing my work because we definitely felt the energy because we manifesting at the highest level. Literally a week ago, my sister put me on the interview that he was doing with Brother Rich, right? I followed them, and now a week later, we are on here having a panel discussion with him. This is the power of manifestation, and when you truly in alignment with the work that you're doing, you can manifest at the highest level. This is not anything to try to show any braggery or nothing about. This is us showing y'all the power that we have, you know, as a community when we're manifesting. You know what I'm saying?
It's also intergenerational ability, because that's the thing that we share, Brother Rod, in with our tribe. Like, you know, yeah, I don't mind putting my age out, but I'm the eldest. Other sisters that are of this tribe, I'm 48. And so I try to, you know, we try to work on the different levels. Look at this.
Right.
We work on the different levels. You know, baby. We work on these levels where we have it, where I know my expertise as a mother, because I have a 26-year-old. So I know what I'm supposed to do. And I know that, well, I was raised in a Kemetic community 100%, but a native, you know, not native, but an American Indian community too. Very much like the Brother Turtle Gang, you know, plain clothes, but know everything about who I am and been raised with it, you know? And so, you know, just knowing that, you know, it's just been an amazing thing to be able to navigate through the world. And I just want to say this just before I stop real quick, just that I think that Tanika needed to hear what she heard from you. It was really, really important, because she is our bridge. And
She bridged
our bridge, we really need it. We need, like, there's so many ways that we wish we could compensate each other on a deeper level. We know we do it every day by talking to each other, by raising each other's children, by creating an environment, this environment that we are in right now, that you have just, you know, has been amazing to grace us with. This environment has been cultivated because of our love, first for ourselves, our ability to love each other, you know, not just each other, but love other people. And we love the people that we trust each other enough to know that we're going to be guided to help each other. So that's why Amin Ra, he knows that if he has the ability, and I'm proud to say that I'm part of his gatekeeper, he's saying, yeah, get away from me, because he knows, not just because we're women, because we got strong men in our tribe too. And we, you know, he knows that we gonna get them. We the ones that say, yeah, we'll kill that motherfucker. You know, he know I'm like this. You know, nephew, I have stuff behind me right now. He already know I'll shank that motherfucker. I ain't got no problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, you know, so we need to see the balance. And I just want to throw this out there. You know, and I want to, this is my question, because like we talked about suicide, and since we've been talking about mental health, you know, my father is the person in my life that committed suicide. It'll be 2 years on the 29th of this month that he took his life. And my father was a 4th degree down in Kendo. That's why in the background you see, this is my room, Japanese room. I got my father's stuff all in the back. My father was a warrior, so I grew up, you know, I'm a daughter of a warrior. I'm like the Mulan, the black Mulan, or I say black because it's a crown, like the black Mulan, paint her brown. But I just, with that suicide thing, and I know transitioning, people have different ways of thinking. For me, when he transitioned, I was 100% free with it. Where the only reason why we're able to do this, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any sorrow. And he came to me in life while I was living. It wasn't about having to wait for him to die and then him coming to me later and giving me epiphanies, because he gave me everything that I needed while he was living. He lived to 70. 70 was his number.
70. That's G-O. Go. He picked his time to go.
Yes, he did.
Now, a lot of people think that that's suicide.
I don't.
In his case, especially when you gave the caveat about him being a warrior and trained in with Kendo.
Yes, exactly. And he had prostate cancer, so you know, no one knew.
He's not finna go out shriveled up.
Exactly.
He want to leave as strong as he was when y'all knew him at his strength. He didn't want to be all stage 4, shriveled up, in the bed, ridden, can't cold his eye. He don't want y'all to see him that way.
Not at all. And I want to share that I have identified with when they surrender themselves right? When they surrender to being complete versus saying suicide, because suicide has a completely different definition and martyr to it.
Yeah, a
Yes.
different motive. A whole
And
Period.
nother motive.
connotation to it, and connotation, and it has really, it's negative. And I know that for me, my father didn't commit suicide because he had done something awful on this planet against humanity. He did it because it was his choice. There's a
Right.
So
difference.
remember Don Cornelius, Soul Train,
Yes.
and he had all
Right.
that stuff wrong with him at the end.
Uh-huh.
He had told the people that he was gonna kill himself, and they tried to talk him out of it. He said, "No, listen, me
Yes.
talking me out of it. Y'all can take all my guns today, don't matter." He said,
Right.
"Because I'm not finna be an invalid and can't take care of myself and have to depend on somebody else to do it for me." And he gave a whole rational explanation before he killed himself, or before he checked out, I should say, of why he was checking out on his own terms. Another
Right.
person that done that is Phyllis Hyman.
Yes. Yes. Yes, she did.
She
Yes,
gave
she
the
did.
entire and complete rundown
Yep, she did.
on why she was checking out. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
My brother did too. Like truly, if people was paying attention to the signs, like,
it's
he told everybody to watch this movie called The Hollow. He was like, everybody, y'all all need to watch The Hollow. This was a cartoon. He always was like, look, if you want to know the truth, they hide all the bullshit in the cartoons. And so,
because they obligated to
anyway,
put the truth in the arena where you can see it. They don't have to tell you what it means, and they don't have to tell you that it's true. They can tell you that it's falsehood, and
So
tell you the truth in the fiction novel.
I want to get to some of these questions. I mean, these comments in our chat. Um, if my parents and grandparents were born in the West Indies, how do you suggest we started learning and digging into our lineage besides family encounters and stories? Well, let me tell you, the way I got started was putting down them prayers with my ancestors and asking them to like bring forth our narrative, like bring forth our story. And here
right,
come a full circle calendar year where a cousin that I hadn't seen for 10 years, almost 9 to 10 years, we was last year 2021 was standing at the altar together.
right,
And I would say, you know what, I say that also, for people, listen to your family. Usually that family story, that's that story. When people, you listen to everything else, you believe everything else. So when people talk about, well, grandmama was from, just ask where your people from. So I
No,
saw
but
right,
somebody earlier in the comments. I was going to say that somebody earlier in the comments was saying about how it's offensive to be like, when I was saying something about, being mixed. Being about something, and somebody was like, what you mix with, instead of asking people like, where you from, where your people from,
Yeah, they used to
not,
ask me what
where
I
you
was
mix
mixed
with.
with.
and sometimes
You
people
said
don't
what,
have.
brother? Wait, what you
They
say,
used
brother?
to ask.
They
He
used
said
to
they used to
ask
ask
me
him what
what
he
I
was
was
mixed
mixed
with.
with.
I tell people I'm mixed with slavery, and then I just say, what you mixed with, so I know who I am. Ask
I,
me where my people
I
from.
always tell them I'm mixed with a little bit of kick ass and a little bit of leave me the fuck alone.
Okay, that's why I say slavery. That's why I say slavery, and most black people will be like, I'll be like, I know where my people from. I'm Muskogee, Creek, Cree, Cherokee, and Mohawk.
Mm.
Who are you?
But for the people that sometimes get cut off from those family relationships because of adoption,
Yeah.
because of,
Right.
losing
So, which
connections
takes
with their families, there requires a very deep spiritual intentionality about plugging back in when you have been when you have physically been cut off, and then when you feel like you've been spiritually cut off. But if you've been sold the lie that many of our people have been sold in terms of how to tap in, then you find yourself in a place of confusion. And I am here to say, I hadn't met any of my family members outside of my mother's brother and sister from my mother's father, whom now I know that John Horse was one of the most decorated soldiers that fought in the Seminole War, is
Right.
my direct lineage.
Right.
But I didn't talk to my cousin before I laid down in prayers.
You say his name
Right.
was John Horse?
John Horse.
Okay, so John, according to the text, John is the one that the Christ loves.
Hmm.
Pay attention to that.
Hmm.
Those who rode the horses, they were called wind riders, right? And they were the ones who sanctioned the Vikings to ride the land as nomads. They call them bikers today, but they used to ride horses back in the day. And even they came to fight in the Seminole War. That's why they call them Seminole. Seminole, it's like saying potpourri.
Right.
All mixed up.
Right.
Right? Because all of the tribes, we had dark-skinned tribes, light-skinned tribes. We had motherfuckers came from the Philippines. We had motherfuckers came from the South Pacific Islands, Tonga, Samoa. That's how all of the wrestling families got over here. Right? Peter Maivia family. That's how they got over here fighting in the Seminole Wars. But they kept their family traditions to keep the family together, because at the end, they had to be able to say, hey, we've been over here fighting in these goddamn wars with y'all. Don't forget us.
Right.
Right? So Rocky Johnson, who was one of us, married his wife, who was from the Pacific Islands. She was the daughter of High Chief Peter Maivia. Right? But The Rock only got one side tattooed with the tribal chieftain, because only his mother line can sanction him from Samoa. His father line got to sanction him from over here.
Yeah.
So his tattoos on the other side, whenever he get them, it's going to be entirely different than, unlike his cousins, the Usos and Roman Reigns got them on both sides. That means they got both family right from the mother line and the father line to stand as a chief.
Right.
I'm gonna come eat dinner.
So all of that stuff means something.
Wash your hands.
When you talk about the islands coming from the Pacific Islands or coming from the Central American islands like that, you still wind talkers. Listen to the wind tell you what's going on. You're gonna have an actual attraction to people that vibe on your clan frequency. Right? When you find everybody that you find yourself introducing yourself to, all of them Choctaw, it's a good chance you rounding up your tribe. And you Choctaw too.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, but we don't remember that part of our culture because they caught us practicing it, they murder us.
Right.
You know, so now we at the point now where all of the murder game is over with. Because I can kill just as good as they can. So bring it on if you want to play. Make my motherfucking day. Right? So the whole thing now is to switch from the gang bang to the brain bang, which means switching from the firearm to the mental arms. Right? So that means that you have to dig back into the culture enough where you can remember how to translate the message, like when she brought up the bridge.
Right.
Right. Now, she gave me 3 knocks on the bridge, but I only flipped 2 bridges. I flipped the San Francisco Bridge and the Queens Bridge, but the third bridge is in southern Florida that carries us to the Keys. That's the bridge over troubled waters.
Yes.
And because the troubled waters is salt water and salt waters is tears. And
come straight out your face.
And they switched us in the Trail of Tears. That's where they put the bridge over the troubled waters. So what they did is during the Trail of Tears, they was knocking the ones that looked like us out of the entourage.
Killing us. We couldn't even say it. It was killing us.
Well, some of them they didn't kill. Because we still have.
But if we claimed it, but if we claimed us, if we claimed what we were, it was easier to get us.
Yeah. So what they did, where they made their mistake, is they left Big Mamas with the $5 Indians. And Big Mamas made deals with the daughters of the $5 Indians Because over here, when the shit flip, it's matriarchy rules.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't about the woman being better than the man. It ain't about the man being weaker than the woman. But it's about this. Women raise families with the children first.
Yes.
Men fight wars first. So if you want to raise a productive future, you go back to the matriarchy and all of the needs of the children is met. You get rid of most of the psychosis fade away at that point. Most of our mental illnesses is manufactured by the system we under. It's not because we inherently mentally weak or we mentally disturbed. It's because they teaching us something that we trying to force ourselves to accept. It's not part of the reality that we're supposed to be in. You know? So all of these things tied. So the three bridges, it's a knock from the three sisters. There's three of y'all knocking.
And we've been knocking.
And so Big Mama say it ain't complete until she got a four-corner shuffle. So she had to throw a Y up in here with the X, and the Y is the question, and the question's been answered. Where's the three bridges that represent the three sisters? That's the wind talker message.
Wow.
Right? So y'all represent the three sisters who was knocking for the three bridges.
On the cape, on
Ashe.
So
Wait, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question about the three sisters? Because even in the Greek time, in Greek mythology, they have like, what do they call? I forgot the name. There's a terminology, but there's always the three witches that held all the magic. Even in
the three witches in Greek. The three witches in Greek is a derogatory reference to the three sisters we talking.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering that.
And this is moon.
Ashe.
It's the three phases of the moon. The fourth phase is the dark phase. That's Big Mama. The dark mother. Right? So you got the maiden, the mother, the old crone, and then you got Big Mama. Big Mama is so old that she's able to have a whole bunch of Big Mamas under her direct instructions.
Yeah.
Right. So then she become the dark mother. She become the one who dresses in all black because she represents Prime Creator. They flipped the nuns' outfits. The nuns are supposed to all have on white, and the high priestess, what they would sit in the Pope seat, right? Whose name would be called Madonna from the Greek culture, but from the African culture, she would be called Isis. Right, in Egypt, or Aset.
Right.
And this is the seat that is suspended above the Pope. He can't sit in it. They won't leave it sitting on the ground so a man don't accidentally sit in it and fuck everything up.
Right.
Because his testicles got an energy signature that is incompatible with that chair.
Right.
So if you sit his ass in there, the gig is up, the game is over, everybody lose. Big Mama coming home to clean this motherfucker up in the worst way.
Oh my God.
So that's why they got the seat sitting 30 feet over the Pope. I ain't just look. And the bitch that's been ruling in ISIS seat, this bitch, she lived under the Vatican.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Well, she used to live under the Vatican, but Mama that took her head, so send her back to where she's supposed to be.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That gave me a lot of insight, especially on the three witches. You know what I'm saying? Because that once you said that just made perfect sense. Because everything is flipped, and that's one thing I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. I was like, growing up with knowing like the base of most of my stuff is Kemet. My father was one of those people who he got a degree UC Davis for Afro-American history in 1976. So I was born in 74. So my whole entire life has been a science experiment. I was 4 talking about Mansa Musa, Maligana, and Shanghai. I knew all about that.
So you
So, you
just
know,
gave me a wind knock from Larry Hoover and Big Tookie together because you brought up 76 as a revolutionary spirit. 74 is a GD knock.
you said it's a what?
GD knock.
GD knock.
G is the 7th letter, 4 is D is the 4th letter.
Okay.
Right? So all they telling us is that we right on point. We got everything within the sights. Right. So now we got to remember at Big Mama house, we all vice lords, no matter what color we wear. We all go from our colors to black and gold. Then Big Mama
I'm at Big Mama house right now.
I know. No, for real, she is.
You see them? You see that stove? Look, check that stove out. Not you move over. You see that stove?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You see that stove?
That's how we
these cast iron skillets?
Yep.
That's how we did.
This is what we supposed to cook.
You see these cupboards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Custom done, handmade. Who got them?
While we talk about
it's
mental
only
health,
one set of them.
Look, while we talking about mental health, you picked up a cast iron pot.
That's all we cook with.
Right.
Some people cook with copper and aluminum. Aluminum, the product to get into your food is fluoride.
Yes.
Fluoride is a mind-altering chemical. Yep.
What size do you want?
This is what we supposed to cook in because this is why we are iron deficient. We wasn't iron deficient when we ate at Big Mama house.
Right.
Right.
Talk about it.
Now, witch, the word witch means wise woman.
Okay.
So they gave it a negative connotation by painting her green with a wart on her nose.
Okay,
right. And they dressed her in the black, but the black is significant to Big Mama. The Big Mama is the dark mother. She's the only one supposed to wear the black. Right? So all of these things they was using, they was playing misdirection, bait and switch, all these kind games at the same time. And we fell for it. But the cast iron pots is critical. Just we need to go back to cooking in cast iron.
Yes, we do.
Right.
Yes, we do. And you can bake with it. People don't know what they could do with it. And someone put up in here, it's also used as a defense tool.
Yep.
Right. We use it for it's multi-purpose.
Look.
That cast iron is multi-purpose.
All you gotta do is either you can turn the fire on, and you can do a lot with it with the fire. Okay, you can boil, you can fry, you can throw whatever up in there. Someone said it makes good grits. Ask Al about that. Ask Al.
A good cornbread, a good whatever you want to throw up in there. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you put in there, it's gonna be good.
But be careful when you do the cast iron, because if you cook real good, you might bring energy that might not go home. So be careful who you feed out the cast iron. They gotta be righteous. They gotta be righteous. Not everybody can get something from the cast iron. Make that as sacred as other things too.
When I used to listen to Big Mama start teaching the young girls 8, 9 years old how to cook, they come in the kitchen with an attitude because they don't want nothing to do with it. She said, you sit your ass there till you straighten up because you can't cook in my kitchen with that attitude.
With that attitude.
We not,
don't bring that swag. We not around this spoon, okay? Don't bring that swag around this spoon.
We not knowing that energy seeps into the food.
Yes.
This is why they call what we cook soul food, and don't nobody else cook it but us. Africans don't cook soul food.
No.
People in South America don't cook soul food.
Right.
Chinese people don't cook soul food.
Yeah. Right.
But what the fuck is soul food?
This, what Big Mama left.
What I just say.
This is why it's
before Big Mama got on the airplane, she made some beans for us. I can't even take the credit.
Look, we call it soul food because when Big Mama teach the girls to cook, she say when you cook, if you don't love the people you cook for, you put bad in the food.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna need them to listen. For the people in the back, say it one more time.
So
One more time.
if you don't love the people you cook for, you put bad energy in the food.
For real. And that's why you cannot, that's why I was taught you do not eat anybody's food. If the ladies will tell you that I'm the person that if you say come over for Thanksgiving, I'm actually cooking my own Thanksgiving and I'll bring it and I'll give you some. Or
Right.
give me like a
But see, at Big Mama house, it's just like when my mother was on her deathbed, she was laying in the living room, and I'm watching all these sisters and came from different parts of the country in the kitchen cooking together. They had never been in the kitchen before. I see one of them reach like this, another one pass her onion. How the fuck you know she need onion? I see another one point at the refrigerator. Look, I'm not bullshitting. One of them point at the refrigerator while she mixing something in the bowl, and another sister turn around, look over her shoulder like she got tapped. You see her pointing at the refrigerator. She opened the refrigerator, grabbed the buttermilk out. She posts something in the cornbread mix. I'm like, how the fuck she know she needs some? I'm trying to figure this shit
Because
out.
it's a frequency. It really is a frequency.
Look,
Like
they
what
was
you're
in there
saying.
like a well-oiled machine. And then
yes.
I started seeing certain stuff they was doing. I was like, that's what my mama used to do. My mama used to do that. I'm like, mama in here orchestrating all these women to cook together that ain't never cooked together, and all of them know what each other need. How the hell she doing that? Is she laying over there catatonic?
You
Right.
but you just gave us some jewels right there, because I know that when I first like cooking, I love cooking. Everyone knows that that's what I love to do. I love to make juices. That's what I was doing before we got on, and I'm very known for that. And I love being in the kitchen, love cutting up stuff, but I learned to love the environment I was in. Like that's probably the one time, and that's why a lot of these young women who do not know how to cook, I really feel for them. Because I have a 26-year-old that cook a lot of ways better than I do, and I cook real good. And
Right.
so when I look at that, I'm like, I look at when I used to teach her, I used to have her at 1.5 years old scrambling her own egg. And she
Right.
would be at my nana house in Jersey, and everybody be like, "You got this baby? Why you got this baby up here doing this?" And I'm like, "Because she need to learn." But she learned how to love on food and be in an environment where she trusts people. It's when it's time to cook, and that struck me, because that we have to get back that big mama moment. We have to get back to, because that's a part of my love. When I get in the kitchen with Tanika and we like, well, she just get when I know she's in my kitchen or I'm in her house and I know the love I'm gonna get. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that's the
So,
beautiful thing. So you touched upon something that's a simple solution that this is why we have to have conversations.
Right. And then one more thing to add on it before you jump in, Brother Rob, because you talked on this too about the food being one of the
Y'all good?
sources to the mental
I need to
health,
get
just
that
bringing
homework
it
done.
all full circle with the chemical imbalances. And so just under us understanding too some of these inherited ways of being so that we can start to shift our diets and the energy and our frequency into it. You know what I'm saying? So that we can start manifesting more for ourselves and our children.
okay, so the food, the nutrition
Some of these
is
people
critical.
funny.
This is why they used to slow cook. Slow cooking, it draws a lot of it breaks down the fibers of the vegetables and stuff, but it also infuses the water, what they call pot liquor, with nutrition. We didn't have Gerbers. We didn't have Heinz baby food. We didn't have Similac. What we did have was pot liquor and cornbread.
And breast milk.
Breast milk. Or we had
Right.
pot liquor and grits.
Mm-hmm.
They was giving the babies the pot liquor, and the pot liquor was giving them the nutrition, and the nutrition was giving them the real head start.
Come on.
Right? Because the nutrients in the food that's intangible is the love of the mother. This is a whole energy in of itself. All right. So when we say home is where the heart is, the heart of the home is the kitchen.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The The pride of the mother is in the heart of the home.
That's
Right.
In the pride is where all them sisters congregate.
That's shame.
Just like lions. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Look, wherever we at, that's where the party at.
so
Period.
No, but
It's also the reunion space, because I realized that when my daughter came back home, like last Thursday, and spent a couple of days, and all I did was cook, and I was like cooking, and because it made me feel good to know that this baby was like, I gotta clean my body out.
now let's do a little culture mirroring. In our culture, a little culture mirroring.
Culture mirroring.
In our culture, it is offensive to go to Big Mama house and don't eat if she cooks. In Italian culture, it's offensive to go to the old lady house and don't eat if she cooks.
Most cultures.
Most of them. The organic cultures around the world. If the women cook and you don't eat, that's a form of disrespect. Right? So
you better eat a few bites. Even if you ain't gonna eat no full plate.
Yeah, but
once you get a bite, you ain't gonna stop. It's like Lay's.
You know what? I'm gonna take something to go. Thank you. You better make sure that you are basically showing some reciprocity around that offering.
Yeah,
because that's essentially what it is. It's not just that I cook something. If I'm offering you some food, like you said, I'm offering you my love. I'm offering you my energy. I'm offering, the blessings of preparing this nourishment for us to share. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I get that. I get why that's offensive. Like, don't come over here and I done made all this good food and you don't at least take something home. Like, even if you don't eat it right now, just accept my love.
We talked about witches a minute ago. You remember the old picture of the old lady witch cooking on a big black cauldron?
Yes.
That was Big Mama house.
Wow.
Period.
That was Big Mama house. Because Big Mama cooked a couple times a month. Everybody in the village is coming.
Period.
Right.
Everybody in the village is coming to Big Mama.
Sunday dinner.
And that's why she needed that big ass cauldron.
And everything was in it. She had everything that was needed. And because I study a lot of their mythology, and there's always the vital things were always put in them.
Yeah, that's what they called. That's why they was calling it potions. Because all of the vital things that was put in it, we called it seasoning.
Come on.
But it's one.
Look, I got a whole room full of it right here. That's what I do. I call them spell kits.
Yeah.
I just mess up everybody's head. I call them spell kits.
It's one seasoning that Big Mama food always got that make it taste better than everything else, and that's LOVE.
Yep.
Right.
Because all the kids the same. She gonna cuss them all out the same. She gonna smack them upside the head the same. She don't care if it's the little girl or the little boy. She gonna tell your mama when your feet stink. She gonna tell your daddy go wash his ass. Don't you come around with some greasy ass hands reaching in my kitchen. Big Mama.
I need you to bring it upstairs.
She just gonna tell you what the fuck this stuff on the table. Whether you like how she delivered it or not, that's your problem.
Right.
That's your problem.
Don't take it personal.
It's not personal.
With the bitter and the sweet.
That's Big Mama ways. And that's how we able to catch where Big Mama at in anybody's family.
Yeah.
That rude, obnoxious, blatant, and blunt truth that she tell you that you don't want to hear, but when you leave, you so glad Mama told you. That shit.
Right.
Everybody that got one is they tribal. They know how to tribe up with us. They know our culture because their culture is similar.
Right.
The ones who I don't want to go to that old lady house. Watch that motherfucker. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
Right.
When the last time you seen your grandmama? I don't fuck with her. What?
Exactly.
What kind of where y'all learn?
Me and Granny, like, my granny be coming through on the lives. So my granny be coming through showing so much love on the lives, just giving that OG wisdom. And I was able to feature her in one of my videos. We a close tribe. And so Blue, I'm not in the Bay Area, but Blue, like I said, bridge builder, we sisters for real, you know. And so her and my grandmother, they have their own relationship. So my granny is everybody granny, period. You
Period.
know. And so Blue be over there with Granny,
Yep.
and they be doing their thing. They be FaceTiming me and all that stuff. And Blue be having Granny out here doing, like you said, that's supreme divine work. And I'm so grateful for that, because that's all she want to do is teach and be able to share this infinite wisdom. And for the past few weeks, we've been putting out a call to our brothers like, yo, we need to hear y'all voice. We understand that we're powerful as sisters, but we know that it is going to take that balance of us working together.
Yeah.
And so we've had a couple of different brothers. We've even had some breakdowns on here. We had some breakthroughs on here. So again, it's very refreshing and just such an honor to be able to now have you here, right? A few weeks after putting out that call, and then 1 week after saying to people who have been with us for the past 11 weeks, last week, and now 12 weeks. So this is our 12th week of being consistent with having this mental health discussion and not putting a time limit on it. We just like, we gonna flow with it and flow with our people and just pour out this love week after week, every Monday, every Friday. We're gonna have these hard discussions. So on Mondays, we unpack it. On Fridays, we come with the creativity. So our people come in with the poetry is very interactive. You know what I mean? And we try to create a space where it's not like a setting like this where we're just talking, but we give a platform for all of our other brothers and sisters to also share as well. So I definitely wanted to put that out there, that this conversation is going to be ongoing. You know, our brother Rod has been on here with us for 2 hours and 36 minutes. So I just got to say that, like,
We love you.
yo,
And
that's
wait,
like,
and we pinned in the Cash App. Once again,
yes,
the brother is not asking, has not asked not one time. It's already out there in press or whatever, in the cosmos or the computer or whatever. It's already out there. That's not what he's not promoting anything. He's just giving truth and honoring the system that needs to be established for us to
right,
take care of the baby. Because at the end of the day, we keep on talking about what we need to do, what we need to do, what we need to do. What we need to do is be
Yes, it
responsible
is just
on
past
every
that.
level, on every level of how we're going to really take care of these babies. Instead of talking
right,
about systems that aren't going to work, or, you know, go putting into things that are not giving service to us. You know, we talk about building these other institutions. Well, that's why we brought this brother in, so that
right,
we can say, look, we just want to know what our assignment is. There are too
right,
many deceivers, and I have to say this, too many deceivers that are out there as you know, that are male, that they're considered male, and they are doing a lot to damage the foundation for the sisters. And we unanimously as a whole, you know, like our tribe, it was like once we pulled this brother into the realm, within, it only took hours for everyone to be like, hands up, let's go, this is the truth. Because we've been trying to
right,
give people opportunities to jump in and say, look, we're women, we can only give our opinion. And I not
right.
one time have encountered, Brother Rod, you coming from a perspective other than your own. And that's why we wanted to have you, so we can show an example of how, what leadership looks like on a male, from a male perspective. You can be
Right.
dominant in leadership on how, because we are women, we need our brothers, right? We've been
We
so
need y'all.
misguided to think that, you know, we don't need our brothers, but the only way we're going to have our brothers is to support our brothers. And our brothers they don't have anything. To be honest with you, as sisters, we communicate with each other. We call each
Right.
other out. Brothers don't have what we have. And because of that, the only option they have, if they don't have anything, they have death. And that's it. And we have to acknowledge the fact that our brothers are killing themselves at a higher rate because they're not given the opportunity to see that we love them and we love our children. And what makes them really great is having these wonderful children. And so we have to be, good with, but we also need work. And I